Yo, what's up? What's happening? It's the Big Chief, and this is the Red Leg Podcast. We are bringing it back. Man, it's been a long time. Um, the Red Leg Podcast has, been around for a good minute. Iterations of it has been happening. I initially started the Red Leg Podcast around, I want to say maybe 2018, 2019, I think. I don't know. I was in grad school. I was getting my master's from the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. Um, the GI Bill paid for my first semester of grad school. Student loans paid for the rest, and then I got 100% permanent and total, and they wiped away my student loans. Boy, I don't know how my slave ancestors felt when they got their freedom, but I feel like it's how I felt when I got the letter that said my student loans, about $100,000 worth of debt, were wiped away. And so, yeah, I'm gonna talk about Red Leg, but at first I gotta talk about these student loans, man. Um, where was I going with it? Yeah, because when I was in undergrad, here was I bet people asking, how do you end up with student loans? You got the GI Bill, so I used my um, I used my post 9/11 GI Bill. I paid, I paid for undergrad, paid for that first semester of grad school. But while I was undergrad, I wanted to DJ, and so I was like, how can I get this? How can I get this quick money? Because Uncle Sam just teaches socialism. Don't teach you how to make a quick dollar. And instead of getting the money myself, I was like, you know what? I can take out a loan, and so I did. And then I had to take out student loans for the rest of grad school. And I went to Clark Atlanta University. And it was expensive, so yeah, I racked up about 100,000. And I had so much anxiety about paying student loans back that if there was any I remember, yeah, on the Deaf Sex of Money podcast, there was episodes about student loans, and I would not listen to it because my anxiety was that bad. Maybe I should go back and listen because mine are paid off. And I even I used to not want to talk about it, but fuck it, them bitches is paid off, thank God. Um, and what's wild is now they added 12 months. Like you can get, so yeah, they added 12 because I always said 36 months isn't enough because you're like a lot of people aren't. A lot of people don't have the education background, so they're wasting your time in college. You're trying to figure out what you want to do, so you're wasting a lot of credit hours. You use up that 36 months quick. I was like, there needs to be at least 48, or I feel like you should be able to go to school as long as you want. And they pay for it. But what happened was they added another 12 months. So after I finished my post on 11, I ended up getting a $1,200 check because that's what I paid into my Montgomery GI Bill. So what happened now is I was like, hey, yo, I called them up. They were like, well, you can't use post on 11, but where that would have been nice because they would have paid the school directly. They would have paid me a check. And so they were like, you get the Montgomery GI Bill, or you could probably use VR&E. And so I was like, I don't like the Montgomery because I would have to take out loans so I could pay the school, and then they would compensate me. They would reimburse me. I was like, nah, I'm cool. So I applied for vocational rehab. And so I did the process, and I wanted to do the self-employment route. So I called them up. I went through the orientation. I tried to play the game. I tried to play the good boy game where I'm like, I wore my collar shirt. I looked all nice. I talked real nice. I was like, hey, yo, this is how my disabilities have been affecting me and stuff like that. And, I would really like for you to, I would really like to go the self-employment route. But if need be, then I'll just, I'll go the employment route. Man, I was lying to myself, dog. And to them. Cause I ain't finna work no fucking job. I led soldiers in Iraq. I was a staff sergeant when I got out. I tried to work jobs afterwards, and I was like, no, this is not working. I literally wanted to strangle my supervisors. Well, one in particular, when I was working at Texas Southern University. But I was like, no, this ain't for me. And especially now, the longer that I've been away from, because I quit my job 5 years ago, right around COVID. They increased my workload. They didn't give me a raise at the 1 year mark. What else? I didn't feel like I was supported. And then they forgot my birthday. And I was like, oh, hell no, I got to go. But the longer that I've been away from the workforce, I'm all like, and I even told the woman, I told the bitch, hey, yo, when I hey, keep misogyny alive, man. But I was like, yo, me even trying to apply for a job is overwhelming, and there's a lot of scams out here. I tried, like I even there was a time when like I teach yoga, and I tried to apply to be a yoga instructor at the VA. Now it was going to require me getting the COVID shot, and I was all like, shit, they was paying a lot to be a yoga instructor, so I was like, I'll for that, all right, cool, but didn't get the job. I remember and like that's the crazy thing about being an artist. Like you'll get scared. There's time where the fear will come, the winds will come, and the Uber wasn't cutting it. I even tried to. I applied to my old job, Child Protective Services, and I walked up in there with face tats and locks, and not the clean locks. I had the free form locks. And I was like, they not finna hire me. I blew that interview away, and they were like, they didn't hire me. But yeah, man. So yeah, the VR, I got denied. She was like, well, here are some other resources. Like, I have 12 months of benefits. I fought for those. And so I got pissed off. I was like, oh, maybe this will head me in a different path direction, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, I really just want to, use a self-employment. I really just want to get a MacBook. But I was like, you know what? And I was like, forget them. And then later, I kind of looked up some stuff. I was like, maybe I can go the Montgomery GI Bill route. And I was like, no, I don't like this whole reimbursement thing. I don't like having to pay up front. I don't want to get any more loans. And having to rob Peter and Paul. And I was like, you know what, forget it. I looked up programs. I was like, know what, F it. So I just let them dreams go. But then I was on TikTok, and this one chick, this light-skinned chick, veteran, she was all like, I went through the VR&E program, and I got approved, and I got this, and I got that. I got like a reimbursement for my post 9/11 GI Bill, this and that. And I was like, damn, must be nice. I said in there, I was all like, I applied, and I was overqualified because I feel like the VA only knows how to deal with veterans that their shit is either all the way fucked up or they got their stuff all the way together. Because it's all like they got programs for, they got the HUD-VASH program, they got, substance abuse program. I actually went through the substance abuse program before so I could eventually, go through VR&E. Because I told the woman, like, I had applied before, and I kind of knew I was going to get denied because she was like, oh, I need to talk to leadership. And I told him before, I was like, yo, I was dealing with drugs. I wasn't in a position to where I really wanted to go through that. I didn't want to give up the drugs at the time. Because I was smoking weed. I was like, that was my, dealing with my anxiety and the sleep and all that. And not really knowing that the weed was contributing to the anxiety as well. But yeah. But I'm like, yo, hey, this is what it is now. Still got denied, man. But or they know how to deal with veterans that have their stuff all the way together, because they don't need as much. And I think one woman, this one chick, she was all like, well, did you tell them, how your disabilities affect your life? And I got triggered in the moment, and I was all like, oh, I interned at the VA, I know the things to say, yada yada yada. And then I was like, I fought for Iraq. I fought in Iraq twice. Why should I have to fight for my benefits? And then later, after I had some time to think, I was like, bruh, Big Chief, calm down. Humble yourself, brother. Because I hate how angry Uncle Sam makes us. And I forgot, there was a response that this person said. Hold on, let me read the actual response, because this might help somebody. All right, let me hop on TikTok real quick. Hold on. Be playing the guitar. Oh man, there's one chick who used to give me massages when I was in Atlanta. Oh, I wanted to fuck, man. She told me she was proud of me on TikTok. Now, I gotta be careful, man. Trying to be a changed man. Okay, I don't have enough signal to pull this up, but let me see if I could read. Dang it. Let me see if I can read it. Yeah, it says I got my MSW and they said nah. Oh nah. Okay, yeah, I got my MSW and they said nah, we're not paying for a doctorate. So I got VRNE to do a retro and got 13 months of my post 9/11 back. That's the way to do it. Okay, cool. And I guess they said, I don't know, the rest of these I can't. Hold on, let me turn off the Wi-Fi. Okay, all right, it's not coming up, but they said, oh man. Okay, here we go. Uh, okay, yeah, it just says, I think you should try again. Sometimes it's the counselor that sucks. Some people actually help. Because I just, I was like, yo, maybe I'm not verbalizing myself correct and say, this is it. I tried. And then they said VRND is technically not part of our benefits. It's allowed to those being affected by their disabilities in their current job. So um, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to call back up there and like, yo, I tried. I was denied. Yo, I would like to talk to somebody. I want to talk to leadership. I want to talk to a supervisor, so I don't have to go through the reapplication process. So we'll see. And I just had to be like, yo, dealing with the VA. This is what I had to learn. When you deal with the VA, it's gonna be a fight, but you appreciate when you don't have to fight. But if you got to fight, then fight. Uh, because I remember I had a staff sergeant. No, I had a sergeant first class, a platoon sergeant in the Army tell me, do not take no for an answer. Now, don't take that literally when it comes to having sex with a soldier. We don't need those sexual assaults to keep happening. But when it comes to getting your benefits, do not take for an answer. No for an answer. Holler at higher and higher till you get the answer you feel like you deserve. So I'll keep y'all informed. Because I don't really need a lot. I don't need a lot from the VA. I got my benefits, I got a master's in social work, but I can't work. Like, I'm triggered. Like, I wanted to help people, but I'm triggered. It's too much stress. I'm not licensed, so I can only get, these certain jobs. So yeah, we gonna keep it going. But I promise y'all the origin story of the Red Lake podcast. Like, I was in grad school. I was thinking about writing a book. No, did the book happen? I was thinking about writing the book, but I didn't want to. I was, like I said, I was in grad school. I was trying to. I was working a full-time job at Child Protective Services. I was already writing a lot, and I didn't feel like writing anything else. So I was like, I'm at least going to have a podcast to talk about my time in the Army. And so I had the Red Leg podcast. I was talking about my time in the Army. And yeah, my brother, he ended up enjoying it. And I think I stopped. And he was like, no, you should keep that thing going. And so I was having other people on there. I had other veterans talk about their experience. And then I forgot what happened. But I was trying to do, this is around COVID, and I think I was trying to either do Zoom or live, and somehow, some way, just something wasn't working out. And so I let it go. Like another love TKO. And then, a TikTok happened, and I ended up getting 14,000 followers strictly off of doing controversial or triggering military content. And so I tried to do the podcast thing. Did I try to do? I don't know. Then I tried to call it Barracks Bunny, but I didn't keep up with it. But I was like, you know what? My brother was all like, you need to make Red Leg happen, man. And then what stopped me from, it's a stupid reason from not doing it again, but it was other people doing military content podcasts, and there were so many podcasts, and I was like, you know what? And I was like, but then I had to remind myself, I bring something different to the game. They've got theirs, I've got mine. I'm an artilleryman. That's where the term Red Leg comes from. I have a different perspective. I only did 7 years and 3 months. I like to make fun of a lot of things. Let me hit that button, because power is low, so we ain't gonna be here much longer. I have a different relationship with Uncle Sam, where it's not my whole identity. I know it's funny. I got my boonie cap. Shout out to the boonies. Speaking of which, who had the best boonie caps are the freaking Marines and the Vietnam era veterans. And even the DCU boonies look better, man. These are all, and the current whatever came after the ACUs. ACUs are freaking trash, dog. The Velcro couldn't hold on. The design, all that. I thought when I first saw ACUs, I thought they were so cool, because my dad, he was in the Army, and my grandfather before him is what we do, baby. And it was just something different. I was like, it's cool. And I was like, I ain't got to shine no boots. But yeah, the ACUs are trash, and the boonie caps, they just big and floppy. Let me see what else. What do we want to close out at? Two things. One, MilTok beef is funny. It's funny seeing, because you have your veterans going at veterans because they're like, you didn't deserve this amount of percentage, or you didn't leave the fob, or yada yada. Combat vets versus fobbits or slick sleeves that never deployed. Then you got the vet bros versus the active duty. You got active duty versus active duty versus vet bros. You got new veterans that are taking beefs from the military that they had, the beefs that they had that while they were military, they're taking those beefs off into veteran land. Let me see. Is there anything else? We are so angry, man. We are so angry. And I say that your beef should not be with each other. Your beef should be with Uncle Sam, because it's not easy out here. It's not difficult. It's not impossible out here, but it's not easy. It's totally different, because you don't have a safety net anymore. Well, your safety net is the VA, but it's a lower safety net than while you're being in the military. And I think I only have one MilTok beef. Well, it's not so much a beef anymore, because I blocked that nigga. Old MilTok Luther King, Matt Sergeant Parker. Hilarious. And the reason why is because what was it? What was it? It started out, of course, with the whole beard thing. All right. And I came from like he's the MilTok Luther King, God is following, all that. And I was coming, my approach was, yeah, I'm rooting for you, but I know how Uncle Sam gets down. Your arms are too short to box with Uncle Sam. And so I guess to him, I came off as a hater, but I forgot what happened exactly. And I think it was like the whole combat vets versus non-combat vet thing. And I kind of gave my perspective. And I guess he was all like, oh, I see where you come from. And he was like, oh, we have a lot in common. And so we did a whole MilTok TikTok live, and we talked about some stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I thought, yeah, you cool, I'm cool, all that shit like that. He was asking me about some DEI stuff, and I was all like, I don't know. I don't care about that stuff. I do think DEI can be used as a crutch, but I don't know. I was an EO, NCO. I mean, I understand it, but once again, the game is the game. And I thought we were like, after that, I thought we were cool. But then every time that I would hop into his lives, he would like call me a hater. And I'd be like, yo, bro, you just don't see, we have different perspectives. Like, it's okay. That's what I loved about the Army. You could have different perspectives, but you can come together and for a common cause. And then he's like, nah, you over there, telling people they just need to take it. They just take Uncle Sam's big green weenie and bend over. And I'm all like, bruh, I'm rooting for you. Fight the good fight. But at the end of the day, Uncle Sam don't lose. Uncle Sam is like the casino. The house always wins. And another thing is like, bruh, you telling, you're telling these soldiers to fight, but you're not going to be in that room fighting with them. You're not going to be standing next to them when they're standing before their chain of command and they're dealing with all this bullshit that's running downhill. No, you're not fighting that fight with them. And I already knew. I was like, yo, good luck. You're not gonna be, you're not gonna, the fight ain't really gonna work or be that effective, because I know how it is. I remember being a staff sergeant, being the head chief, and me and other chiefs, we would say, hey, yo, Smoke, platoon sergeant, he was on some bullshit. He is trying to fuck with our soldiers. He'd be fucking with us, but I couldn't stand, don't fuck with my soldiers. Now I was like, yo, we gonna run up on him. We gonna tell him, we're gonna fight this fight together. And when it was time to go in that office, I'd be the only one in that office. I look around, I'm like, where the rest of the chiefs at? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm gonna fight for my soldiers. I'm even gonna fight for y'all soldiers. But if y'all don't want to fight together, us unified, nah, I'm cool. And that's how it is in the Army or in general. Like, people don't want to fight together because everybody's got their own separate agendas. Everybody's got their different needs. When Uncle Sam applies that pressure, people gonna fold. I like, yo, bruh. And then, yeah, when he was talking about doing paperwork or trying to change the policy, I was like, you want these motherfuckers to read? And look, man, wasn't nobody reading no policies. I sure didn't read no policies. I just knew AR 670-1. I knew the basics, and that was it. I knew enough to keep my ass out of trouble. It's like, nah, man, you out of touch with the soldiers. And when you are out of touch with the soldiers, that's when it's time for you to go. I knew it was time for me to leave the Army when I had 2 degenerate discs in my back and I fell out of a brigade run. I knew it was time to go. I knew it was time to get out the Army when we were doing the same shit over and over again. Go to the field, come back. And like I said, I couldn't stand Obama because they had the drawback. So I had about 6 to 7 soldiers. Now, No, a full crew, because I had a gunner, I had a number one man, I had a driver, and I had a ammo team chief. So yeah, every day I would go to work with at least 4 other soldiers. And when we come back to the field, that was enough to clean the gun and the cat. The cat is the vehicle used to carry our ammunition. Well, during these cutbacks, then we had red cycle tasking. So I used to go to work with one soldier. And so it was me, a chief, yeah, me, one soldier, then other chiefs dealing with the same thing, one soldier. So we had to make sure all the guns and all the vehicles were clean, all the equipment was clean. I used to have to pay for paint out of my pockets for to spray the inside of the guns. They were making us pay for MREs in the field. I was fed up, man. And so I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go. I had a platoon sergeant talking about toxic leadership. There was man, this motherfucker. I watched him put hands on another soldier. He did not know his job, but he led with fear. There was a time where I was ready he flexed on me, and I was all like, well, he's a black belt or something. I was ready to hit him with his own laptop. But that crazy motherfucker used to fuck with us at work, but then invite us to his home for a barbecue. And I wanted to fuck his wife so bad out of spite. Shout out to Sergeant First Class Mansueto, man. But I had to let that hurt go. And yeah, there's in that. So like I said, this is the Red Leg Podcast. I'm just gonna talk about my life in the Army because I'm working on a book, Red Leg Volume 3. There is Red Leg Volume 1, Red Leg Volume 2. Red Leg Volume 1 it covers the 4 years before I joined the Army. Red Leg Volume 2 is from basic training to up until I leave for Iraq. And so Red Leg Volume 3 will be my first trip to Iraq, all the way up to me PCSing to Fort Carson, Colorado. And then Red Leg Volume 4, the final installment, will be my second trip to Iraq and then me getting out of the Army. And so the goal is to turn this into a movie, because I'm all like, if Hillbilly Elegy could get JD Vance to the White House, how far could my story get me? And it's just really, this is for me. And it's also, I'm encouraging other vets to write their stories and get it out and not hold it in. And so there we go. If you got any gripes, complaints, Yelp reviews, holler at me in the comments, like, subscribe, and 1A out. Oh, hold on. What am I doing? I have a whole button that I can turn this motherfucker off with.